Welcome to Mod Madness Part 3. This movie's game prop was created from a Blender model by Berringer. It was a free download at CG Trader. There are two animatable groups, one for the fuselage and one for the propeller. We need to add another empty to serve as a container for the blurred version of the propeller. The plan is to import the helicopter mesh, delete all of the unneeded parts, then parent the airplane parts to helicopter pivot empties. That way the group names will match helicopter animation files, and we can use those as target files for export of our animation. After we import the helicopter mesh, we delete all of the helicopter empties and mesh objects except for those listed on the screen. The outliner shows what is left after removing the unneeded parts. Before moving the airplane mesh objects onto the helicopter structure, the helicopter pivot empties need to be centered and aligned with the airplane pivot empties. Center the cursor at the origin using Shift-C. Then select 06 Heli Body and use Object Snap Selection to Cursor. There is a rotation of 90 degrees about the Z-axis. Set this to 0. The 06 Heli Body CA empty is now aligned with the 00 fuselage body empty. With the cursor still at the origin, select 07 Rear Rotor O2 Hide, then use Object Snap Selection to Cursor to move the 07 empty to the origin. Align the axis by changing the Z rotation of 90 degrees to 0. The same must be done for 10 Rear Rotor O2 Hide, but first unparent the blurry rotor object. When the parent is centered and aligned, center the blurry rotor object by selecting it and using Object Transform Object Data to center. Now move the blurry rotor object to the nose of the plane. Reparent the propeller object to 07 Rear Rotor O2 Hide. The fuselage body and propeller empties can now be deleted. The blurry rotor object should be scaled upward in the Y and Z axis to about 1.3 to make it approximately the size of the propeller. This is a good time to run TM Preflight. It will identify the work needed to get the mesh ready for export. You might want to save and reload the blend 3 or 4 times to get rid of the unused data objects in memory before you begin. It looks like we're ready to export. We are ready to export the mesh, but first rotate all the pivots 10 degrees around the Y-axis and pull them up 1 Blender unit so the airplane prop will be sitting on the ground with the tail down. Once the mesh is exported, we are ready to edit the animation to make this prop work in the game. We will use helirotorstart.anim as a target. If you import the target file, it messes up the animation, but you can fix that. Place the cursor at the origin, Shift-C, then select the 07 empty and use Object Snap selection to cursor to move the pivot point to the center. Change the Z-axis rotation from 90 degrees to 0. Do the same for the other empty. Move each one up one blender unit and rotate around Y by 10 degrees to line everything up. Use the data on the screen to set up the keyframes for the X-axis rotation of the propeller. Set the blurry rotor to rotate at about 60 RPM. After the heli rotor start animation is played, the scene switches to heli rotor idle. That is when the blurry rotor is shown. So export to both heli rotor start.anm and heli rotor idle.anm. Here is the result of the test.
Fighter pilot's ass, hallelujah, hallelujah. Throw a nickel on the grass and you'll be saved. I was cruising down the Yallow doing 6 and 20 per when a call came from the major. Oh, won't you save me, sir? Got 3 black holes in my wingtips and my tanks ain't got no gas. Mayday, 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 I got 6 bigs on my ass. Oh, hallelujah.